Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the final video today. Only 4, I know, but it is what it is. Well, it seems that you know about most of you guys probably don't know about the Paul Pelosi. Let me try to pretty much break it down. Is that some guy came into the back of Paul Pelosi's house's window and smashed it. Apparently, he went to talk to this so-called attacker, and saw him, and then essentially didn't raise hands, but talked to him, walked away, and then went back to him, etc., and that's kind of like what the whole deal is going on with Paul Pelosi. This Paul Pelosi was struck in the head with a hammer. He was apparently also taken to the hospital in the ICU. He suffered a skull fracture, and his arm was apparently injured as well. This story is all up in the air and whatnot, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but here's a little bit of details that's been going on so you guys kind of get a brief take of what we're talking about here.
The front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police.
So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what's happening. Now, there's a little bit more mysterious stuff because there seems to be more information out on what's really been going on, and it really raises a lot of eyebrows on what is actually going on and this whole type of story. We don't have full information, and obviously I will go over the full thing with you guys as more information comes out, as I always do, and it seems to be that there's a lot more that meets the eye. Take a look at this, because this is quite an interesting, I do say so myself.
Planned attack at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco home. The brutal assault on Pelosi's 82-year-old husband, Paul, has sent shockwaves across the political world as threats against elected officials have skyrocketed. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti has the latest.
We're now learning that the break-in at Nancy Pelosi's home was captured by security cameras set up outside the house. Sources tell CBS News they're part of a network of roughly 1,800 cameras that the U.S. Capitol Police can access at any time. Meanwhile, details about what happened inside are coming into sharper focus. According to this criminal complaint, alleged assailant David DePape allowed Paul Pelosi to use the bathroom, where he grabbed his phone, called 911, and put it on speaker. DePape got agitated. Pelosi tells the 911 operator that the man told him to put the phone down and just do what he says. The dispatcher then asked for DePape's name, and he responded, "My name is David."
Obviously, he doesn't know who the male is, but he advised that his name is David.
A terrifying series of events continue to unfold. DePape trying to restrain Pelosi. Pelosi trying to grab the hammer. When police arrived, Pelosi could not maintain his grip. DePape took the hammer, lunged at Pelosi, striking him in the head at full force, knocking Mr. Pelosi unconscious for about 3 minutes, waking up in a pool of his own blood. DePape later told officers it was a suicide mission. DePape allegedly named other targets, including several prominent state and federal politicians and their relatives.
I anticipate a lot more violence so long as conspiracy theories about our election, about our democracy, are able to thrive unopposed in our online spaces.
And today, the Pelosi family is scheduled to view police body camera footage of the attack. Security cameras around the home were not being monitored at the time because Nancy Pelosi was in Washington. Meanwhile, U.S. Capitol Police have begun reviewing their own security protocol following this attack, Nora.
Jonathan Vigliotti with that new information. Thank you.
So yeah, one very confusing thing after another here. I'm not quite sure what to really say about this other than Paul Pelosi orchestrated this, or something else is amiss here, because it doesn't seem that this makes quite a bit of sense. Why would you go back to your attacker when somebody breaks in, especially through the back window, etc., etc.? It just seems a little bit odd that this is all happening, and I think there's a bit more to the story than meets the eye here. So I think that we're seeing here that maybe this might have been planned, maybe not really the assault, but more of there's some type of deal going on or what have you that may have caused this type of thing to be going on, and that have you. There's a bit more information that's going on right here, and I have a bit more information to show you, which is through this video. This may open eyes for us, but it most likely doesn't. We still need more information coming out and what have you.
Good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today. NBC News learning new details about the moments police arrived. Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi residence now revealing when officers responded to the high priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House. After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was, say sources. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good. But instantaneously, a struggle ensued as police clearly saw David DePape strike Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. After tackling the suspect, officers rushed to Mr. Pelosi, who was lying in a pool of blood.
What we do know is he brutally attacked Mr. Pelosi and attempted to kill him.
After spending several days in the ICU, Pelosi, who is recovering from a fractured skull and serious injuries to his arm and hand, is now home, where Capitol Police remain on alert. Investigators have previously said Pelosi did not know DePape when the 42-year-old broke into his home. Why Pelosi didn't try to flee or tell responding officers he was in distress is unclear.
Fear takes over. Fear freezes people.
This morning, the 82-year-old lucky to be alive after an intruder nearly killed him in his own home.
Law enforcement officials tell us the bottom line here is this was a terrifying situation. We still don't know exactly what unfolded between Mr. Pelosi and the suspect for the 30 minutes they were alone inside that house before police arrived. Officials who were investigating this matter would not go into further details about these new details. Craig, back to you.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, though. He is lucky to be alive. Miguel Amelgar for us. Miguel, thank you.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information that seems to be missing that we need to gather. Now, one thing I will say is that since he did go back into his home, didn't even notify the police that there was an issue, if there's been more footage of this, I would really like to see that footage because I would like to know what truly transpired there. But it seems that he didn't really notify the police beforehand. So if that was the case, then why did he go back? And if he was really in danger, why did he not notify the police? So it seems a little odd. And if Paul Pelosi really didn't know him, then why did he act like he kind of knew the person to begin with? It sounds like it's a drug deal or some type of, like I said, another type of deal or something going on here. Only making assumptions, don't really know truly what's going on right now. But it seems there's a lot more issues coming up that I don't really know what truly that really truly happened here. But there's a lot of mysteries and things up in the air. Hopefully the media doesn't cover it. Hopefully the media doesn't pull this under the rug or really hide this or what have you, so it can't be out to public. But I think we need to know what truly happened because he may have been underworked with some nefarious stuff as well, besides just drugs or whatever. But we need to know these things. And it's quite odd that this type of stuff is happening. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking that this is happening. It doesn't seem like he was a Republican or anybody of that sort. There are some people that are saying that was the case. We don't know. We don't even have any evidence of this man. It just seems he's wanted to attack other officials as well, and we don't really know who. As far as we know, we don't know what those officials are or what their names are, etc., etc. So he could be going after Republicans or as well, or he could be going after other Democratic people. So we don't know. All we do know that this man's most likely a lunatic, as it seems to be running rampant and across our country right now. And a lot of mysteries pertaining to Paul Pelosi here, and hopefully we can get more accurate information as time flows by and more information comes to us. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.